Hello everyone and welcome back to Turkish Series Stars. It feels so good to have you here, because today we're diving into a topic that's equal parts fascinating and mysterious, a subject that has kept fans buzzing for years. We're going to peel back the curtain on the chemistry of Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu. That's right, we're taking a deep, heartfelt look at the dynamic between these two remarkable talents, and why that spark, so visible on screen and whispered about off it, continues to captivate us. Before we begin, if you haven't yet subscribed to Turkish Series Stars, now's the perfect moment. It's free, it helps the channel grow, and it ensures you won't miss any of our upcoming stories. We've prepared so much that I'm sure you're going to love, and today's journey is just the start. Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu. Two names that echo powerfully across the world of television, especially among fans of Turkish series who know that when these names appear together, hearts will race and emotions will rise. We've witnessed each of them shine on their own, inhabiting characters with a depth that feels lived in, raw, and intimate. Barış brings a grounded intensity, the kind that erupts from behind quiet eyes. Elçin brings a layered sensitivity, a quicksilver mix of wit and vulnerability that turns a single glance into a story. Separately, they command the screen. Together, something almost impossible to describe happens. Their presence doesn't merely add, it multiplies. Their energies don't collide, they harmonize. And that synergy, that tide pulling us in even when we promise ourselves we won't fall again, is what we're exploring today. Let's try to name what often feels unnameable. Is it the way their gaze lingers, like a pause that refuses to break? Is it the careful listening, the way one waits on the other's breath to finish a thought even before a line is spoken? Is it that deeper current, the mutual understanding that slips into the smallest gesture, hands brushing accidentally, a shoulder turning at exactly the right second, the quiet smile that says I heard what you didn't say? We're going to trace these threads, tug gently at them, and see how they create a tapestry so believable that we forget we're watching fiction. First, we have to recognize the impact they've had as a duo. Think of their iconic work, the project that transformed casual viewers into devoted fans and prompted rewatch after rewatch across the globe. Kiralık Aşk didn't merely introduce a pair of characters. It introduced a pulse, a rhythm, a dance between two performers whose instincts fit together like puzzle pieces that had been waiting in the same box all along. In those early episodes, you could feel the simmering pull even during the lightest, funniest moments, and when the conflicts deepened, when love and pride and fear clashed, every look between them felt like a confession, every touch like an electric warning and a promise at once. There are scenes that exist in our memories not as dialogue or plot points but as sensations, a thrum beneath the story that belongs to Barış and Elçin alone. But how does that kind of chemistry happen? Why do some pairings look fine and others feel like a storm that shifts the sky? On-screen chemistry is the perceived connection between actors that turns acting into something that seems shared rather than performed. It's not a technique that can be manufactured on cue. It's a delicate coexistence of talent, timing, trust, and presence. With Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu, you can track several strands that braid into that undeniable pull. Their individual craft is the first foundation, both are instinctive, attuned, and generous, willing to listen as much as they express. When two actors of that caliber meet, the stage is set for something deeper to arise. Then there's synergy, the kind that turns 1 + 1 into more than 2. He pushes the scene to its edge. She edges it into tenderness, he slows when she softens, she sharpens when he intensifies. They don't just meet, they mirror and elevate. Watch how they modulate tone together. A shrug from Barış becomes a cue for Elçin to add a flicker of surprise. A line delivered with half a smile from Elçin becomes permission for Barış to show a vulnerability he's hiding in the jawline. This is a duet where each voice listens for the other's note, and the harmony feels inevitable. There is visual chemistry, of course, that undeniable ease of sharing the frame. The way they stand side by side can feel like a completed sentence, and yet that's the most superficial layer. Beyond how striking they look together lies something more potent, emotional chemistry. This is where a single glance seems heavy with context, where silence is as expressive as speech, where the response arrives so naturally it feels less like acting and more like catching a thought mid-flight. Their eyes carry meaning, their pauses carry meaning, their laughter carries meaning. They communicate in the in-between, the tiny shifts that tell us everything without needing to declare it. Improvisation in a scripted world isn't always about inventing lines. Sometimes it's about the courage to be present, to leave room for surprise within the boundaries of the scene. Watch them in moments where the script could tilt into the predictable and see how they complicate it. How a glance lands a beat earlier than expected and the other catches it, how a touch lingers just enough to suggest the character is struggling to let go, how breath becomes part of the dialogue. When performers are truly listening, we feel it, and with Barış and Elçin, that listening is constant. The interaction doesn't read as rehearsed to perfection, it reads as alive. Audience perception matters, too. Once a pair wins our hearts, we bring expectations, and expectations turn into attention. We look for sparks, we read into gestures, we sense echoes of earlier scenes even in new moments. And for Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu, the fandom's attention has always been keen, affectionate, and persistent. That affection shapes how we watch them, but it also reflects what is already there. When we allow ourselves to see wonder, we often find it, and they make that search rewarding. The more we scrutinize their scenes, the more detail we notice. Like the way he braces ever so slightly when she steps close, or the way she lifts her chin as if steadying herself before meeting his gaze. We follow those details because they're breadcrumbs they leave for us, and we love the path those breadcrumbs create. Now let's step outside their scenes and think about what surrounds them off camera, not as gossip that invades, but as a respectful glance at the cues artists often give one another. Mutual admiration, professional respect, the comfort that builds when two colleagues trust each other, these things have a way of filtering back into the work. When they speak in interviews about how much they value one another's dedication, when they laugh about shared memories from set, when they express gratitude for the support they felt during difficult days of production, you can sense a camaraderie that steadies the ship. That trust doesn't just make a set a warmer place. It makes the moments in front of the camera braver. Narrative chemistry is part of the magic, too. It's not only that two performers connect, it's that the characters they inhabit need each other within the story's design. The best arcs give each character a facet the other draws out, strength reveals tenderness, independence makes space for collaboration, ambition finds balance in patience. In Karanlık Aşk, their characters' desires entwined with their fears in ways that made their meetings and conflicts feel inevitable. The writing built the road, but Barış and Elçin chose the stride, the tempo, the breath between steps. When narrative intention meets performers who can illuminate subtext, the connection doesn't just appear, it deepens. And then there's the gaze. The eyes are relentless storytellers, and these two know it. When Barış looks at Elçin in a moment of quiet, there's a steadiness that hints at a promise he's not ready to say out loud. When Elçin looks back, there's the flash of someone weighing risk against hope. Their eyes argue and reconcile, they tease and confess, they carry the past into the present with a single flicker. It's a language the audience learns to read, and once we do, every frame becomes a conversation with layers we replay again and again. Why does all of this matter so much to us? Maybe because we crave proof that connection is possible, that two people can recognize themselves in each other across a crowded world. When we see Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu radiate that kind of connection, it reminds us of what human bonds can feel like, risky, exhilarating, nourishing, and gentle all at once. Their scenes invite us to feel braver about our own hopes, to laugh with more abandon, to forgive more quickly, and to believe that tenderness can hold its own against doubt. In their hands, romance is not sugary, it's textured, full of shadow and light, a portrait that feels earned. Of course, none of this would land without their craftsmanship. Barış's control over stillness, the way he can carry a storm under a calm exterior, sets a stage that Elçin can set alight with a single playful smile or a sudden catch in her voice. She gives him the opportunity to soften without loosening his grip, and he gives her room to blaze without losing her center. They counterbalance in a way that makes us lean forward. Their timing is unspoken, almost telepathic. He holds a line a fraction of a second longer and she hears the heartbeat inside it. She pivots emotionally and he meets her in midair. Fans often talk about the scenes that live rent-free in their minds, and with this duo, the list is long. A quiet kitchen conversation that turns confessional when the clatter dies down. A hallway standoff that becomes a truce, not with words, but with the shared relief of standing close. A joking exchange that slides into sincerity because neither can stand pretending anymore. These moments aren't grand gestures, they're small, precise truths. The camera finds them because Barış and Elçin plant them like seeds and water them with attention. Let's not overlook how expectation shapes satisfaction. When a pair achieves something special, every reunion, real or imagined, arrives loaded with longing. Even when they appear in separate projects, the memory of their tandem lingers, and we measure new chemistry against the old. That's not a burden to them, in a way, it's a tribute. It means what they built together has become a reference point for belief. And if ever the stars align for another collaboration, you can bet the anticipation will be sky high, the kind that has fans lining up hours early, feeds refreshing by the second, hearts and throats as soon as the first promotional image drops. All of this speaks to a deeper truth: chemistry isn't a trick, it's a meeting. It's two artists arriving at the same place at the same time with open hands. It's patience when a scene asks for restraint, bravery when a scene asks for surrender, curiosity when a scene asks for play. Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu show us how contagious that meeting can be. We watch them and we feel invited, not to witness a performance from behind glass, but to breathe the same air as a feeling daring to make itself known. As we wrap this journey, let's gather what we've seen. We've traced the pull between these two from their first unforgettable steps together to the echoes that ripple through everything they touch. We've looked at foundation and flair, at visual allure and emotional depth, at spontaneity and discipline, at the narrative scaffolding that supports a connection and the intangible spark that sets it on fire. We've listened to the silence between their words and found entire love letters there. And we've recognized our role, too, the way our hopes and memories magnify what they so generously offer. Thank you for sharing this exploration with me. I want to know what you carry with you from their work, the scene that still makes you smile at a stoplight, the line that rings in your head when you least expect it, the look that broke and mended your heart in the same breath. Tell me below what you love most about the chemistry of Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu, and which moment, which episode, which glance you think captures it best. If you enjoyed this deep dive, give this video a like, share it with the friend who never stopped rewatching, and don't forget to subscribe to Turkish Series Stars so you're always the first to know when we drop our next story. Until then, take care, hold on to the connections that make your world glow, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.